Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Shadow and Sun Show, and welcome to week 13 of the God Wars. Obviously, my actual play group is further along, but because of my medical leave, I was not recording these. Now I'm going to finish up where we left off. That is week 13. Let's get into it. Rising tensions. Let me do one thing real quick. There we go. Week 13, Rising Tensions. The people of Lord Xantar continued moving people through the Silver Moon Gate, now made permanent through the Lord of Starlight's new-found mystic powers, as the inhabitants of the Silver Moon moved large parcels back to their homeland, while numerous globes of sparkling energy sprang up to protect all of the Eternal Light's many castles and cities. Lady Teriel and her people set the foundations for another temple and another castle near their western borders this lunar cycle, as her armies began the long trek home from the front lines against the Harvester's undead hordes. Lady Tamia welcomed her warriors home from the war against the Harvester's minions, as the newfound sense of peace and prosperity settled across the central seas. The mountaintops of Lord Aradron's nation seemed to grow taller as their peaks began to glow white-hot before finally erupting, spewing smoke and magma high into the air this lunar cycle. Lord Dracor and his people have been quiet this lunar cycle, silent and unseen, save for the large host of riderless dragons who patrol the borders of the Lord of Wisdom's realm. The forges of the sinking plains seem to be working overtime this cycle, as Uxmal issued order after order from atop his mighty ziggurat. His own mystic prowess lit up the skies around the sinking plain for many leagues in every direction. The swamp lands of Lord Zelix were quite quiet, in contrast to his cousin's realm this lunar cycle, despite the growing turmoil in the southern polar region of Maiar. The devotees of the great devourer continued their great hunts, bringing more and more sacrifices to his feasting board, as his power and hunger seemed to grow more rapacious every day of this lunar cycle. The mountain eyrie was deathly quiet this lunar cycle. Even the unearthly choir was still, as if the Lord of Light himself had left the world of Maiar for good. The forges of Lady Izza's undead minions continued belching noxic plumes of acrid smoke high into the southern skies this lunar cycle, as her servants finished the conquest of Lord Arcanum's realm. Lord Brutus and his giant thralls built a new city, castle, and temple and forge near the docks, where the Lord of the Mountains launched yet another war fleet this lunar cycle. The realm of Teng Fei, the Crimson Crucible, continued to hover over the gaping wound in the face of Maiar and set its sights on moving toward its next target. The realm of Teng Fei now soared above the world like a giant ghost ship, its weapons ready to rain down on any who stand in its way. Ratham Rex and his minions continued fortifying their new islands as new machines began to move about his nation, mighty new war machines that roared like dragons as they moved about the war god's island nation. Mystic energies engulfed Ilstrandia's realm from its northern peninsula all the way to its southern shores, skirting around Vermark's grand palace and shrouding her marching armies and minions as they continue to march south and surround Vermark's fortress stronghold. Once again, Lady Click-Clack Bibble-Doop remains ever elusive and bides her time deep beneath the icy waters of the northern Arctic region, plotting, planning, and preparing for the many factions that now encroach upon her domain. The field of flowers surrounding Lord Timo's realm began to bloom this lunar cycle and spread their aroma far and wide across the western continent as Lord Timo's warriors began returning home from the western continent. Strange new flying machines have been seen flying over Lord Vermark's realm this lunar cycle, amidst strange lights that brighten the night skies across the central continent and its neighboring islands. Lady Click-Clack Bibble-Doop is not the only one who seems to feel secure in their northern Arctic island domain. Lord Mortis, the god of death and assassins, has been silent this cycle as well, yet the rumors persist that his assassins are busy behind the scenes, keeping to the shadows and keeping their knives ever sharp. The realm of Ionia surged with mystic energies this lunar cycle, and Lord Athanatos' power and resolve resonated through his polar abode this lunar cycle. Excuse me, I need a drink. I'm getting a little chapped. Lord Averon the Balanced marshaled his people and prepared them for the surging hordes of undead that surround his children on all sides, save the southern shores of his newly formed kingdom. Lord Eshman united his 4 largest cities into one grand kingdom this lunar cycle, proving once again to his people he is indeed their Lord of Prosperity. Lord Karom, Lord of the Whispering Woods, completed another grand castle this lunar cycle, while his soldiers continued to patrol the lands between his realm and his neighbors, the halflings of Lord Hillfeather. Lord Kurza and his Earth Children continued to tool under their island homes this lunar cycle as rumors of war spread across the western continent. Lord Gromdar and his dwarven soldiers continued their long march toward their sworn enemies, the gnomes, and their god, Lord Marsala, the master of obsession. This cycle, Lord Hillfeather declared war upon Lady Click-Clack Bibbledoop as they launched yet another war fleet while marshalling his troops and his warrior allies, who seemed to be staying with Lord Hillfeather's within Lord Hillfeather's realm to assist in the purging their lands of all intruders and interlopers. Sorry, I had a huge typo there. I didn't notice until just now. Marsala, the giant and master of obsession, ordered his warriors and knights to make ready for the inevitable clash with the troops of Lord Gromdar this cycle. Lord Arcanum and his pack continued settling in amongst their new benefactors, the Eastern Mothmen, this cycle. Excuse me. This cycle saw the construction of Arcanum's first new grand forge in their new home. The forges of Lord Az's new island domain began showering his new holdings with sparks and smog this lunar cycle as more ships returned home with their holds filled with new resources gathered from their new island nation. The Piper's minions celebrated the consecration of their newest grand temple to the goddess of wine, women, and song this cycle, as her warrior Ratkin continued to march north to aid the troops of Ermark in defense against Ilstrandia's and von Stark's troops near the Western Sea. Von Stark's vampiric minions began surrounding Lord Averon's nation as his winged minions flew in from Ilstrandia's nation, while his new forges in Lord Tembra's former realm continued to produce weapons and war machines for their lord and masters, the god of blood. Sorry about that, folks. Oh, that was the first time I've had to speak that long in one giant stretch without a break. But that was week 13. I will have week 14 out in a couple of days since it's already passed and completed. I'm looking at it right now. I can go into it, but 10 minutes is enough for anyone, I think, at a stretch. But we will catch up to week 17 or 18. By week 17 or 18, I'm hoping. We'll see how things go. For those of you who are playing, I need your orders. Everybody's been pretty good, but there's a few of you who've had things going on. And when combat is going on, that's a real toughie. We're going to talk about that later on, and before we do the next God Wars 2, if you will, because when there's 2 or 3 players and I've got to coordinate back and forth, it's really time consuming. So sorry that some of these written reports were a little later, but combined with that and people submitting their orders on Monday when they're due Friday, it kind of also slows things down. But that's what I've got for you guys this morning. I will see you tomorrow for a comic-ish review, and then I'll see you Thursday morning for hopefully an actual game review or supplement review. I'm not sure which one I'm going to do. And of course, Thursday evening we have the book club. Hope you guys have a great rest of your week. I will see you real soon, and as always, happy trails.